Welcome in, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight for this reflection. I want to take you back to Hebrews chapter 12. This past Sunday, we preached about unlocking a kind of motivation that will give us the sustainability to walk by faith in Jesus for the rest of our lives. The Bible tells us over and over that if you desire to live godly, you will suffer in this world. It's going to be hard. The race that's set before us, that we have to run as a Christian. That word race is actually the word that we get from agonai in Greek, which means agony. It means struggle, fighting for something, competing, digging in, because it's not easy, but it's worth it. And in that passage in Hebrews chapter 12, it says in verse 2, one of the things that, the main thing you might say, that unlocks the motivation we need to walk by faith is in verse 2 where he says, looking unto Jesus. There's something special about that word look, looking unto Jesus. That word look doesn't just mean visually with your eyes that you glance at something and you see it and now you register the information, like the color, the shape, the size, things like that. That's not really what the word look is talking about there. It's the word that we would use to say gazing at and beholding. Think of it like this. It's the word that you would use to say that person looked and stared at a piece of artwork until they understood what the artist was trying to say. In John chapter 1, starting about in verse 14, the beginning of John is a beautiful introduction to Jesus where he tells us really Jesus was the Son of God in the beginning with God and was God, and he then became like us. In verse 14, he says, the Word, which was Jesus, became flesh and he dwelt among us. John's saying Jesus, the Word, came into the world. God came into the world and he dwelt among us. And then he mentions this phrase, and we beheld his glory. What John is saying there is not that he looked at Jesus and knew what his face looked like, or, if he wore a beard or didn't wear a beard, or the kind of clothes that he wore. He's not talking about that kind of beholding. What he's saying is we thought about, we pondered. When he would do something miraculous and then walk away, we would talk to each other about it. We contemplated this man. We beheld his glory. We saw him beyond the physical into the spiritual for who he was. And for us, if we're really going to look at Jesus and see Jesus, we've got to spend time looking at him more than just picturing what he looked like or knowing the recounting of his stories of the amazing things that he was able to do. No, you're going to have to spend some time contemplating him. That means you're going to have to read a story in the gospel, maybe a story like when he healed a blind man by touching his eyes, or when he would heal the man who was sitting by the pool of Siloam and he would drop him into that. You're going to have to spend some time pondering about Jesus, wondering about him. Why did he teach this thing this certain way? Why did he talk to this person this way? What was he thinking about when he touched this man or he hugged this woman? What was going through his mind? What is going on with Jesus? You're going to have to ponder and contemplate and think about him so that you can see his glory, his greatness. And ultimately, you're going to have to look at the cross and ponder it. What did he suffer? What did he experience? What was it like to be him standing there all alone, not answering Pilate, taking the lashings, wearing the crown of thorns, hanging on a cross, speaking to his mother and to John, speaking to the thieves, and so many other stories? What was it like for Jesus to be separated from his body for those many days? And what was it like that morning when he walked out of the tomb and Mary came and he spoke to her? What was it like for him? What was he thinking? What was he doing? And as you ponder him over and over and you pray about him to seek to understand him, like Paul said in Ephesians chapter 1, God, grant us eyes that we might see. In 2 Corinthians 3, he tells you what's going to happen when you behold the glory of Jesus. In verse 17, he tells us we are transformed into his image. That's when you become like Jesus. The more you are impressed with him, in awe of him, the more you understand him, the more you'll become like him. So as you seek to continue to unlock a motivation that it's going to take to walk a faithful life the rest of your life, can I encourage you to spend time contemplating, pondering, beholding the greatness and the glory of Jesus? Have a great week.